How many stories have we done on the BART system in San Francisco? How many? 5, 6, 7? They're all the same story, which is large groups of black people rampaging through BART, creating all sorts of chaos, mayhem, and havoc, robbing people, doing all sorts of bad business on BART. And the people at BART shrug their shoulders and go, well, we don't know anything about what's going on. Okay, let's look at the latest example of what it is. And then we're going to remind you what's been happening at BART.
New at 6, BART is banning more people than ever from trains, and a vast majority of those are African American. KPI X5's Phil Mateer at the Embarcadero station with a closer look at the numbers and possible reasons why. Phil?
You know, Alan, for years we've had a debate in this country about whether or not blacks are inordinately pulled over by police if their cars are searched. It's called driving while black. Well, now the issue's being raised. The question is, do we have a situation BARTing while black? Let's take a look at the numbers.
African Americans represent about 12% of BART's riders, but they represent 53% of those who've been arrested by BART police and 66% of those who police have used force on. And as when it comes to banning, they represent 66% of the 315 people who were tossed off the system last year.
The numbers are alarming.
Russell Bloom is BART's independent police auditor, and part of his job is to look at the question of possible racial profiling.
Prohibition orders are most often issued in relation to battery on either station agents or officers or other passengers. They may be issued for issues like vandalism.
It's too early to tell if BART's bannings are being issued disproportionately or if African Americans are in fact committing more of the crimes.
We know the numbers are accurate, and what we are looking to determine is whether there's an underlying reason for the numbers and for the disparities.
However, civil rights attorney John Burris, who represented the family of Oscar Grant, who was shot dead while being held down by BART police, says the banning numbers speak for themselves.
Another sort of an example of the challenge of being black in America. Do you get charged and kicked out if you do the same conduct in West Oakland if you do in Walnut Creek or some other place?
The report comes as BART continues to grapple with scenes like this, people openly shooting up drugs in the stations, also higher crime and arrest rates, all while trying to convince an increasingly skeptical public that it's safe to ride BART.
What are the politics of this?
Well, for me, I've never been afraid to talk about race in our society. It's something I've grown up understanding, and I think that we should not be afraid to say that there are issues and problems that we have to address in order to make the system safe for people.
BART isn't alone in grappling with this issue. The city of San Francisco, Oakland, virtually every major city in California and the nation has run into a debate about public safety, politics, and race. And no one so far has come up with an easy answer.
Okay, I'm going to go through these as I remember them. I remember the ones that resemble this one the most. Do you remember, we've done this story 3 or 4 times about how BART put an app out and it said, hey, if you see something, say something. So everybody's like dialing on their BART thing going, hey, I see something really bad happening on BART. I see it, it's happening right here. Boom, boom, boom. After a year, they figured out that the complaints, the black people were 10, 11, 12% of the ridership, but they were getting 75, 80% of the complaints. The paper and the people at BART figured it out in a big hurry. That was white racism. But what about the time that 60 to 70 people ran through the BART station, robbing a bunch of white people on the train? But then a week later, one of the local TV stations out there, they did an interview with the vice president of BART. And she said, she asked the obvious question. She said, well, don't you guys have any videos? He goes, yeah, we have a ton of videos, said the vice president of BART, but we're not going to release them because they would embarrass the black people.
So I asked that question recently, asked why can't we release these videos? And the answer was initially that, well, normally cities don't release videos of these types of crimes. And I said, yes, but this is BART. You know, people are sort of trapped in this train for a while, and they have a right to see what could potentially happen. And the next answer was that to release these videos would create a high level of racially insensitive commentary toward the district. And in addition, it would create a racial bias in the riders against minorities on the trains.
And how many other stories have we seen? I mean, there's a city in the BART service area, they don't want BART because they know BART is just mass transit for criminals. They don't want BART. Over and over and over again we see the numbers coming in just like we just saw, right? It's like, how many times on this channel are people going, Colin, that's anecdotal, you don't know the numbers. And you go, okay, here's some numbers for you. 70, 80, 85% of the people who are 60, 70, 80% of people who are banned, arrested, all that stuff are black. Well, Colin, those are white racist numbers. Is okay, maybe they are. But I'd feel better if you showed me another mass transit system in this country where the exact same thing is not happening day after day after day after day. Where is it not happening? Where are these numbers not showing up like this? And I still don't understand why Hispanics, they let these BART bureaucrats go, yeah, this is all about black and brown people and white racism. I don't understand why Hispanics, who are nowhere near black people in the level of criminality, illegal immigrant or not, I don't understand why they let everybody bunch everything together like that. If you find out, would you let me know? Because when you don't bunch stuff together and you separate black people out and you call them on their BS that they're doing on BART and every other mass transit system in America, every one, that makes the black kids angry.